What's going on, guys? JPP Duel here. Hope you guys are enjoying your Friday. And for today's matchup, we have an Adventures Pranks versus a Despia with me as the prankster going first. Now, one thing I would like to tell you guys before the match begins is that this is a pre-ban list matchup, meaning the VFD and Pot of P were not banned or limited, and my opponent was playing 3 copies of Pot of P. But ourselves, as the prankster, we are only playing 1 copy of Meowmoo. So I am playing a post-ban list deck list. Again, this was a try and test, and this deck gave me massive success. So I kept with it, and I only had 1 copy of Crossout in my main deck. I mean, you guys can't see it, but I only had 1 copy. Now, before the game began, my opponent's side of the field kept getting highlighted. That means they either have Maxi, Lancia, or D-Shifter. Usually if they have D-Shifter, they would pop it. Lancia, sometimes you pop it before your opponent goes into main phase, otherwise your opponent can activate the Enchantress for cost and then get the full adventure engine. So I was 90% sure my opponent had Maxi. And to check that, what you do now, since Meowmoo is at 1, you try to special out some other card. In this case, my special was the Wandering Griffin from my hand. Since this card is a special, what ends up happening is that if your opponent has a Maxi, they will commit their Maxi to this play because it's a guaranteed +1 for them. And with this, you will know that you are under Maxi. If you cannot negate it, you are under Maxi, and that way you do not have to go into your combo to confirm whether your opponent has a Maxi or not. So right here, I just set down my Lamseas face down, not my Dropsies, because Dropsies is the card that heals you for 1k. Lamseas is just a 500 burn, so I'd rather keep the heal than the burn. That's the reason why I set down the Lamseas, even though Lamseas only has 500 defense over Dropsies 1k. So right here we do all that. Now again, since Meowmoo is at 1, this means that we do not have to commit to our combo. That way, if your opponent maxes you on your first graveyard activation, and then you're pretty much screwed on your next turn if your Meowmoo's on the field, since it is limited at 1 now. We do all that, we end our turn. Now my hope was that my opponent cannot kill me on his turn, or once he is done with his battle phase, I could evenly match him if he puts no Omnis on field or no Spell Trap negates on field. Seeing that my opponent is playing Despia, I thought maybe I will lose the game right here, right now. So even though that thought crossed my mind, I decided to stay in the game and see what happens. Because again, this game was on my Smurf account. I believe this game was a Plat 1 Diamond 5 game. I was not expecting much from my opponent, still I stayed in the game. So he goes into Starving Venom. Now I don't know if he did not have the materials to go into his Chimera, or if he was not running Chimera. I mean, I looked at his deck list, he was running Chimera. So I don't know why he went into Starving Venom, but that's his play, so we cannot say much about that. Then he goes into his Fright for Patchwork, gets his Poly plus Chain, activates a Pot of P, and with this Pot of P, you will see that he's going to flip over another Pot of P, and that way you know this is a post-ban list deck list, or a gameplay. He gets a Tragedy into his hand, and then uses another Poly to go into a Tax Dragon, which is the Masquerade. The Tragedy activates, gets him the Dramaturge in his hand, then he activates a Branded in Red from his hand, gets the Tragedy back, goes into another Masquerade Dragon. So now, no matter what we do, we are gonna end up getting burned for 1.2k for every single card. Now with this, my opponent sets down a card, goes into battle phase. Whacks me in the face for half the attack of every card that he had on the field. Now this is because the opponent activated Pot of P. If he had not activated Pot of P, I would have straight up lost the game. So the Pot of P actually saved us. With this right here, since he was trying to end his battle phase, obviously we are going to evenly match him, but this ends up burning me for 1.2k again because of the Masquerade. The Tax Dragon taking its toll. Now in my turn, I draw into a Pandemonium. Looking at my life points and my cards, I could assume you guys understand that I cannot do full Prank Hits combo. Because even if I get the 1k life boost, I can only do 6 cards activation total before on the 7th one I will burn myself to death. So again, we cannot do full butler combo. So our best option right here is to try to get this card off of the field. And then, I mean, if we try to get this card off the field, obviously we cannot do full combo either way. So if you guys can see the card, see my life points, see a way to push past this board, let me know in the comment section below. Now let's see how I play the game. Now I did not take a pen and paper to start calculating stuff, no, I just did this in my head and it worked out in my head, so I made the play on field. I normal out my dropsies, we start climbing into our combo. Right here, before we get the graveyard activation, we are going to get burned for 600, don't matter, we get the 1k heal. We go into Doodle Doo, and with this Doodle Doo, I will not be searching for pranks. This Doodle Doo has to search me for a prank kid's place, because I need to lower this card's attack by 500 and then bump my second Doodle Doo into it to kill it. Now right here, we only have 2 more activations that we can do before we burn and die. So 2 more activations left. Right here, we activate our Roxy's in the graveyard, chain block with our Prank's place. Last activation we can do at this point. After this, if I cannot kill the Masquerade, we are done. Right there. Go into battle phase, kill off the Masquerade with our Doodle Doo. It's gonna trigger the Aluber from the graveyard. We don't care about that. Now we go into main phase 2, and since this is the really good play that happened, and since we had the corridor in our hand, I did not go into my full Prank Kids combo. I'm sorry, I did not go into my Lamseys with the 3rd special. We went for the Roxy's because we wanted to get the banish off. We wanted to get the monster banish off. That way, we could put the corridor on the field by bouncing the banished monster, and then we could card search lock our opponent. That is a really bad thing for a Despia player because they do search for a lot of cards. They don't draw cards, they actually search for cards. So this was my way to kill off my opponent's next turn. I just had to hope this kills off my opponent's next turn. Now since we put a Xyz, Link, or in this case a fusion monster on the field, the Masquerade can come on the graveyard from the field. But it cannot keep burning us for 600 anymore. It can only burn us for 600 when it's fusion summoned, not summoned from the graveyard by its own effect. So we're okay with that. Now with this, my opponent goes in draw phase, draws a card. I was really, and I mean really, hoping for my opponent to not be able to draw into a combo starter card or any of those, things. He cannot get any searches off from the graveyard, and if this card is a search card, it's a dead card again. Colossus search locks him. Now, if he tried to go into battle phase to try to kill over my Colossus, because I put the Colossus in face-up defense, we had 4 Thunder monsters in the graveyard. We had our copy of Fansies, we had 2 Doodle Doos, and we had a Corridor to banish from our graveyard to negate destruction through battle or through card effect on our Colossus. So this search lock was going to stay on the field. Granted, my next turn would have been extremely bad. I had no way of going into my combo, but I could have just used my Colossus, beat over his cards, and we could have continued on with the grind and, hoping that I draw into a combo card that I needed absolutely next turn, but I never got my next turn. My opponent, after drawing a card, he just ends up scooping. That's going to be the end of today's game, guys. If you guys do enjoy this kind of videos, please consider hitting the like button, subbing to my channel for more daily prank video uploads, and if you guys are interested in the live version of all of this, I do live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/jpbduel. Link along with my schedule and a link to my Discord will be in the video description itself for you guys to check out. This is JPBduel signing out for today. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace!